Well, week one is in the books. It did not quite go the way the Blue Bullet fans had hoped, but there were a lot of positives to take away from the game in Elmwood. Coach Turner and I sit down and we recap the game. We go quarter by quarter, highlighting the highlights, highlighting the lowlights, giving some shout-outs to the positives, talking about some of the things that maybe were missed or need to be worked on this week. This week's game takes us to Cuba, where we will face LVC. They also lost week one, so either way, somebody's coming out with a win. Coach Turner talks about what the focus is this week to get back on track and get in the right side of the win column. So here is episode 2 of Timeout with Coach Turner, the Miners. We are back with Coach Turner. Week one is in the books. We are now on to week 2. For those that may not be up to speed, last Friday, Knoxville football traveled to Elmwood. The game ended in a 36-22 loss. I didn't think, as a spectator's point of view, it was all that bad. But Coach Turner, how about a quick and we'll break it down, some notes here by quarter, but a quick summary on how you thought the night went, opening night.
Yeah, I thought that our guys came out and kind of adapted to what Elmwood was letting Elmwood dictate the game on us a little bit, rather than us come out and dictate the tempo of the game and make them play our style of football. Once we settled in and guys got comfortable with what they were to be doing and got to feel what Elmwood's offense was like, I felt like we settled in and we were able to get a couple stops and battle back and get ourselves back in the game. It's just when you get behind the 8 ball that quick, then it's tough to respond.
Right. First and foremost, before we move on, senior Daniel Huddleston, he was taken off on a stretcher fourth quarter, right?
Yep.
So what's his update? I mean, how's things?
He got cleared today, and he actually practiced today. So,
all right. So it was more of a precaution, I'm assuming, with whatever was going on.
Yeah, when I got out there, he said his shoulder and his neck, and whenever neck's mentioned, that's when I immediately, when he said that, I said, well, don't move, and we're gonna let a professional handle this, and so they just took extreme precaution, which anybody would want anybody to do. So. But yeah, he's doing okay. He's still sore, but but nothing major, no breaks or.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that was. I mean, anytime a kid lays there for 45 minutes and then the ambulance comes, you start to wonder. So first quarter from my point of view, the clock was controlled by Elmwood, definitely. They kind of just ran their pace. It was penalty ridden for us. What did we have? 2 holds and a false start on that opening drive. Of course, when you lose, that's 25 yards right there you lose. That's hard to bounce back. We did fumble a snap, but we did recover it at the end of the first quarter, 14-0, Elmwood. I guess first quarter seemed, maybe like you said, they came out maybe a little hesitant. I don't know. Am I wrong in that observation? I could be.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I felt like. They kind of just weren't confident in what themselves, and then they realized, well, we're just as good as this team. We can play with them, and then it was a little too late. But yeah, I mean, we shot ourselves off in the foot offensively. They never really stopped us. We got the first holding penalty, and then we busted off another big run and another holding penalty on that same one. I felt like if we could get that once we got our drives together, we were fine. And throughout the game, we still struggled with false starts and things like that, which everybody does week one. Not saying it's okay. There's no moral victories in our program, but I'm extremely proud of the kids' effort. 21-0, and there was multiple times through the second quarter, third quarter that we had chances to win the game, get back, tie the game up.
Absolutely.
So we got to learn how to win, and close those gaps.
Yeah. Second quarter, started off with punt. We gave up a big fourth down run. They went for it on fourth down. However, I felt we gained the momentum about halfway through. We had 4 first downs in a row. They had a face mask call against them. And then Bradley Cummings, quarterback, ran it in for the score. At that point, it was 21-0. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then we went into halftime 21-6.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. At the half, I believe we received the kickoff second half.
Yep.
And good drive, capped off by 7-yard touchdown run by Bryden Walters. 2-point conversion was good. I forgot who got that in. But 2-point conversion was good. Elmwood Brimfield score and an extra point. I think what hurt that quarter, we lost Easton Harshbarger about halfway through the third quarter, who I felt was having a pretty solid game up to then, but had what appeared to be some cramping issues. Maybe just couldn't get him worked out.
That Easton went down with cramps, and he was actually cramping in both legs. Like they're so
right.
I mean,
and it looked like the big muscles, the hamstrings, not just the calf.
It was like a bowling ball in his calves, and it was. It wasn't even one of those things like work the cramp out and see what we could get out of it.
Right.
Like he was immobile. Like it was the real deal. So
yeah, and I know it's like a lot of people like, oh, you're just cramping, but if you've ever had a muscle just knot up on you and tell you good luck, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do about it, which is unfortunate. But I felt the subs that came in, they held their own. His brother Austin got some looks. James Long got some looks. And like you mentioned previously, we moved the ball well. I didn't think our offense to their defense, as long as our mistakes were to a minimum, we were going to score. Just ran out of time, unfortunately. Moving to the fourth quarter, moved the ball well. We went for it on 4th and 4. Did get stuffed on that. Later in the quarter, had a 44-yard touchdown run by James Long. But we just couldn't keep that momentum rolling. Elmwood Brimfield scores again, final 36-22. There at the end of the game, I'm sure you guys felt it as well as everybody in the stands. I thought the momentum was ours, and we were going to get it, but just slipped through our fingers.
Yeah, and I think even back to the first quarter, if we put a touchdown drive and we match that first touchdown they do, eventually we settled in on defense. Mm-hmm. They never really did, but I mean, that's not a discredit to them. You know, they found a way to win the game and got up on us early and found a way to hold on. But if we just could have found a way to match them early, it could have been a different game. But that's part of the learning to win. The penalties and the fumbled snaps and things like that. Those are drive killers.
Right.
So
I don't remember. I didn't keep track of turnovers. Did we have one and they have one?
Each team threw an interception, but both.
So turnovers were, I guess, a minimum on both sides, which is
because both interceptions were near the end of the half. We got one right before half, and we had 52 seconds trying to march, and so our interception was trying to make a play to get back in the game.
So offensively, what are some positives you take away as the team kicks off on the offensive side of the ball? I'm sure nerves were, although we are, I won't say senior heavy, but plenty of seniors. But what was your take on the offensive side?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, there's no moral victories, but I'm extremely pleased with across the board with our guys' effort. We had a lot of guys first start, varsity start. Mm-hmm. Some of those being a senior first start, some being sophomores or freshmen first starts. And, obviously there's things to correct week one for every team in the state. But, we averaged 6.3 yards a carry on offense. Yeah. I mean, so we were able to move the ball and run the ball how we want. Our throw game was effective when we needed to use it. What stopped our offense was the penalties. So we got to clean those up this week. Total yardage for the night we had 323 yards total offense. They had 343.
So pretty even.
Pretty even, yeah.
Comes down to a couple things.
Yep.
So it's always easy to see the backfield, the quarterback, running backs, fullbacks, to see what they're doing. But unless you're a parent of a lineman, they get lost in the mix. Did any lineman have that you felt a very solid game that you were pleased with their performance, or maybe across the board?
Yeah, I think across the board, our O-line, controlled what we need to control offensively, running the ball. Caleb Sechrist probably had his best varsity game at tackle. And Brady Egan and Daniel Huddleston are just steady in what they do, and did a nice job all night there at guard. And then Jaden Cantu and Lucas Herring as sophomore and a freshman in their first varsity starts. I couldn't be happier with how they played. They a lot of time guys in their first varsity start, they stick out like a sore thumb. I don't know if this kid's ready, but
right.
they matched, and they made mistakes, but there was definitely more positives than negatives.
Yeah, the mistakes are going to happen, especially this age.
But they didn't look like fresh underclassmen. They looked like juniors and seniors out there.
So from the positives offensively, I guess, what were you missing offensively? I mean, I know we got the penalties, but is that...
Yeah, the penalties, and then, we had some formation busts that, only coaches and players are really going to pick up on some of those. We had a few busted plays, but a little bit of that was on me. There was one time I checked to a play late, and it isn't something we practiced. And I thought the guys were ready for it and could do it. They could have, but they didn't hear the information how I wanted it. They thought I was checking to a quarterback sneak. They thought I was checking to another play. I should have just left them in the play they're in. We all make mistakes, and we're all, like I told them at the end of the game, we're all in this together. Like we've been doing it since July together. Win loss, we're gonna have to fix things together. So.
Yep. I agree. I didn't think. Of course, like I said, I'm just a fan. I don't know the ins and outs, but at least comparatively to Elmwood, they held their own. They were competitive the whole game. Yeah. Like I didn't see, I never felt like, well, maybe like the first couple drives, like, oh boy, this could be a long night. But, we got our feet underneath us, and I felt that, they held their own.
Yeah,
well.
and Elmwood's a good team. They're going to be a playoff team again. I would project, they got to play all their games, but I foresee them being in the playoffs again. That's the kind of team we lost to. But if we want to not only get to the playoffs and win playoff games, those are the margin. It's a great learning game for us.
Right. Yeah. So switching from the offensive side of the ball, defensively, I guess I didn't take very good notes defensively, I guess. Do you have any idea who leading tackles, like anybody stand out, or was it a good group effort?
It was a pretty good group effort across the board. Bradley Cummings led us in tackles at safety position, but that's kind of how we design our defense against Elmwood, where we play our safeties low that are typically unblocked and try to get them in there, tackling things at 2 and 3 yards. But our linebackers, Easton Harshbarger and Brady Egan, were right up there. I think they had 7-8 tackles between the two of them. And then the D lineman against Elmwood, you're more of a sacrificial lamb. You're
just
taking
trying
one,
to plug it.
Yeah, you're trying to plug stuff up and keep guys unblocked to
I would assume
let them tackle guys.
Up front on defense with Elmwood, you're just trying to find where is the ball exactly.
Yeah,
so you're just trying to.
And they get so many guys pulling to the play side that it's more or less you're trying to eat up those blocks, like sacrifice my one self for taking out 2 or 3 of those blockers.
So it's not necessarily, you might hear, your safety or your defensive back is your leading tackler. It might seem like, oh crap, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because he's not playing 20 yards downfield.
He's playing at 6 and trying to fit it almost like a linebacker.
So it's not like we're giving up an average of 10 yards a play. So the positives there, I felt watching it, they played decent defense. They got some pressure a few times in the backfield. I don't think Elmwood popped off any big plays, did they?
Nothing. I think they had one play for 22 yards or something like that. Nothing major. Defensively, we just had to get off the field. First drive of the game, they were about the 50-yard line. It was 3rd and 8. And they got a first down. If we get them to 4th and 5, midfield, they might punt first drive of the game.
Yeah.
And then there later in the game. There we had them in like a 4th and 9, and they hit us on a big play. Like those are the game-winning plays that we got to get off the field on defense. Like overall, it was pretty good. It's just closing those gaps and finishing the drives and getting the ball back to our offense.
So defensively, would you say it's winning those big plays that needs improvement? That's that would be the downfall of Friday if there was one.
Yeah, getting off the field on 3rd and 4th downs.
Yeah, just those. And there wasn't very many of them, maybe a handful, but those are the ones that shift momentum real quick. Overall, I guess for Friday night, senior leadership. Was there any first game jitters? Were you satisfied with the seniors, how they led? Do you feel that was lacking a little bit?
No, I thought for the most part,
the guys that have been there, did they
across the board? I'm sure they're teenage boys.
Oh,
they're gonna be nervous for any game, but I didn't feel going out there like it was deer in the headlights for any kids.
Right.
Like they kind of, lunch pail mentality is kind of what I preach to them. Like pack your peanut butter and jelly and your sandwich, go to work, and I felt like for the most part they did. The only thing is kind of that first quarter, like we kind of felt them out a little bit, and rather than made them feel us out, like and press on them.
You also had a couple young guys. Well, not more than a couple. You had some sophomores out there, but we had some freshmen seeing some varsity action, and Lucas Herring and James Long. Did Lucas play both ways? James played a little bit of both ways, or Lucas just played one way?
Yeah, Lucas just played offense Friday.
Okay, that's got to be a good sign that, if anything, you have, a couple freshmen, a few sophomores that have 2 and 3 more years to grow, along with this senior and junior group you have.
Right, and then talk a little bit about the JV game last night. They lost like 16-12 in a tight game and had the ball late. And long term for the future of the program, that's awesome because those kids are getting experience without 4 of their top players that are playing varsity.
Yeah.
You got Austin Harshbarger and Jaden Cantu as sophomores playing varsity, and then James Long and Lucas Herring as freshmen playing varsity that didn't play at all in the JV game last night. So those kids are now learning to play with without some of their best players, which long term for the program is great because now they're learning to do a lot of things and not rely on somebody else to do it. And not that they solely relied on those guys to do it, but it's different when that becomes guys having to step into those roles. And I was really proud of the JV last night too in that aspect.
And you mentioned Jaden Cantu. I don't think people realize how important of a job the center plays.
Yeah,
and like without the center, really without the center, you have nothing. And as a sophomore, he stepped in. From what I saw out there, did great. He was also kicking the ball for you, kickoff. So that's good to have. Like, I think Brady has been a 3-year starter on the line too, right?
Yep.
So
his sophomore year, he just played defense, a little bit of offense, but then junior year started.
So that's good. Those young guys are getting in there. They might even push these older guys. Like, hey, crap, I don't want this freshman beat me.
Right.
It's a good competition to have. Both sides of it. So next week, we move on to, is it still LVC?
Yeah.
What is it? Lewistown, Valley, and Cuba.
Correct.
They are the Miners, I think? Mm-hmm. Newish team. Last year, we played them to a 49-18 win. They are coming off of a 68-6 loss to Illini West. I guess with these two programs, that score sounds alarming. I don't know what Illini West has this year. LVC is a struggling program with low numbers, so that score could be deceiving, I guess. But I guess going into this week, what's your keys to getting back in the victory column Friday night?
Yeah, starting fast. Like that's the big key. After last week, we've been talking about. We kind of felt them out a little bit. We want to impose our will on the other team and make them adapt to us, and set the tone offensively, defensively, special teams, and make them play our pace of game and our style of game. Right. How we want to dictate things rather than adapting to other teams. So that's been the big focus. The last couple days with the kids is starting fast and getting off to a good start.
And hopefully, I mean this way it's going to sound. Hopefully, there's always a team out there that you might go into this game. They might just be confident based on previous years playing them, what happened to them last week. You don't want to call them a sacrificial lamb because that's when stuff goes bad. But hopefully they come out, the jitters are gone, and like you said, they get up and at them right away.
Yeah, and we've been talking all summer. Respect all opponents, no matter what, but fear no opponent.
Right.
Like we're gonna face some programs that are struggling. We're gonna face some programs that were in the semifinals last year. Like, it is what it is. We got to have the same approach week in, week out, no matter who it is out there across from us.
Yeah. I'm assuming that, there was nothing out of line. The lineup's going to be essentially the same. I'd liked to see you were able to rotate backfield in. You had a few linemen that could come in. So we talked, I think when we talked our very first time on the regular podcast, like, we're really not as young as people think.
Right.
But it's nice to see we're a little bit deeper than even I thought.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, and across the board, I think Easton had 12 carries. Bryden and Tanner had 9. I think Austin Harshberger had 5, and then James had like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty spread out and even across the board there. So they couldn't just key in on one guy.
Right. Where is this game Friday? Do you know?
It's in Cuba. I've confirmed that with
Cuba.
Yep.
Okay. Last time we went there, it was in Valley. I'm assuming they rotate.
Yeah.
It says Lewistown on the schedule, but I didn't know if that's where we actually win or not.
Well, and me and Breyer, Coach Flesher, we were talking. We didn't know if that tornado that went through Lewiston affected that field at Lewiston. Maybe they might not be playing games at Lewiston this year, possibly. But yeah, I do know they rotate between the fields.
All right. So this Friday night, kickoff 7:00 in Cuba. It should be good weather again. Friday night was great weather. So if you have nothing to do, make your way down there. I think that's about all. Hopefully, like we said, you got a lot of stuff to build on, but doesn't seem like there was a lot of building needs to be done. I mean, there's always building needs to be done, but it wasn't like, oh crap, where do we go from here?
Yeah, it's nothing where we got to tear everything down and rebuild. It's coach up and fix the fine points and get them playing fast.
Yep. So it was good to see. Like I said, that first half of the first quarter, I didn't know. Oh crap! And even at the end of the first quarter, 21-0. You're like, yeah. But it was good to see them. Their heads stayed up.
Yeah, I talked to the guys. I can't remember if it was yesterday at practice or Friday night after the game. Like, last year's team probably would have tapped out, and that's not bashing last year's team at all. But the mentalities we had last year probably would have tapped out, and we might have been beat 40-0.
Right.
And we kept battling back, and we gave ourselves chances to cut it. We cut it to a 1-score game at least once, I think maybe twice. And if we ever tied it back up, I was fully confident that we would find a way to win that game. So I'm glad that they just stuck together and kept battling through. That was huge.
Yeah, I agree. So week 1 in the books. Knoxville starts off with a loss 36-22 to Elmwood. We travel to Cuba this Friday night to face the LVC Miners, who are also 0-1. So either way, somebody's walking out with a victory. Hopefully it's the Blue Bullets. But Coach Turner, I appreciate your time sitting down, and we'll get together next weekend, discuss how week 2 went, and look forward to week 3.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.